Dear students, today I am going to explain about Module 5 Syntax Directed Translation. Under Module 5, we are having three topics: Syntax Directed Translation, Intermediate Code Generation, and Code Generation. First, we will see what is meant by Syntax Directed Translation. Under Syntax Directed Translation, we are going to discuss the following topics. What is meant by Syntax Directed Definition? Evaluation orders for syntax directed definitions, application of syntax directed translation, and various syntax directed translation schemes. First, we will see what is meant by syntax directed definition. In the last class, we had discussed about context-free grammar and then what are the various components of context-free grammar and so on. Because first phase of the compiler is lexical analyzer, it will generate stream of tokens as an input. That token should be given as an input to the syntax analyzer. Syntax analyzer will generate the syntax tree as an output. For generating syntax tree, it has to deal with the context-free grammar. Already we know context-free grammar contains set of non-terminals, set of terminals, start symbol, and set of productions. Now, what is meant by syntax directed definition means it deals with the third phase of the compiler, semantic analyzer and intermediate code generator. So now we'll see define syntax directed definition. It is a context-free grammar together with attributes and rules. Along with context-free grammar, if you are going to add attributes and rules, then it is called as syntax directed definition. Normally the attributes are added with grammar symbols and rules are associated with the production. If X is a symbol and A is one of its attribute, means how we can represent that attribute value means X dot A, and the rules are associated with productions. Attributes may be any kind. The type of attribute may be a number, or it may be data types, or location, or table references, or instances, anything. There are two types of attributes. One is synthesized attribute, another one is inherited attribute. What is meant by synthesized attribute means from the name itself we can understand N is a synthesized attribute means it is defined in terms of attribute values of N itself and its children. Synthesized means the value is defined by itself and as well as its children. And what is meant by inherited attribute means it is reverse of this synthesized attribute. We'll see. Before seeing that, you should know that for what is the synthesized attribute definition means a synthesized attribute for a non-terminal A at a parse tree node N. So each non-terminal should be represented as a one node in parse tree defined by a semantic rule associated with the production at N. Okay, each of non-terminals have a single attribute called val. So suppose we will take any production, any grammar, each non-terminal have a single synthesized attribute called val. We'll see the example next. Next, we'll see the inherited attribute. It is a reverse of the synthesized attribute. That means synthesized attribute defined in terms of the node itself and its children. Inherited attribute, from the name itself it is there, it is that attribute values at n's parent and its siblings and n itself. Okay, so we can define that as production must have be a symbol in its body. An inherited attribute at node n is defined only in terms of attribute values of n's parent, n itself and n siblings. Terminal symbols can have only synthesized attributes, not inherited attributes. For any grammar we'll be having set of non-terminals as well as terminal symbols. Non-terminal symbols will have both synthesized and inherited attribute, but terminal symbols will have only synthesized attributes. Attributes for terminals have lexical values that are supplied by the lexical analyzer. So the attributes of the synthesized attribute terminal symbols have the lexical values. That's the reason in arithmetic expression grammar, finally we are going to give digit.lex value. There are no semantic rule in syntax directed definition itself for computing the value of an attributes for a terminal. There is no rule. General we can specify that. So there are two types of syntax directed definitions. One is S attributed STD, another one is L attributed STD. So we'll take another arithmetic expression grammar that will be used for simple disk calculator. That example we'll take means we are having the set of productions like this that already we have discussed in the context free grammars. And then the semantic rules, already we told the rules or semantic rules are associated with production and attribute values are associated with grammar symbols. See here we are having the grammar symbols L, E, E1, T1, T, F, and these things. These are the non-terminals. So for that one of the synthesis attribute value associated with that is val. And then here already we told, here we have that terminal symbols plus star, opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis, digit and all. So that with that terminal symbol, the synthesis attribute associated with that is lex value that will be supplied by the lexical analyzer. So here how it will be represented means the production is L defines E, N means N is the input right hand marker, it's the end of the input. So L dot val equal to E dot val. Then E dot val is defined as E1 dot val plus T dot val. That is V val, it indicates the attributes. So here all the symbols are having only synthesized attributes. So this grammar is called as attributed syntax directed definition. So the STD that involves only synthesized attribute is called as S attributed. The STD in the above table, the previous example, there's this property. So this grammar is S attributed syntax directed definition grammar. Okay, you understood what is meant by syntax directed definition and what are the two types of attributes, synthesized attribute and inherited attribute. And one example, you should know clearly that attribute values are associated with the grammar symbols and rules are associated with the productions. So next we will see how to evaluate an STD at the nodes of parse tree. A parse tree showing parse tree, we know that we have constructed a parse tree for a given expression for a grammar. So in the parse tree we know we are having a root node and we'll be having internal nodes, then left subtree, right subtree. So in that parse tree showing along with the grammar symbols attribute values also means that parse tree is called as annotated parse tree. Parse tree showing the values of its attributes is called annotated parse tree. So we'll discuss that annotated parse tree in the next class.